Usually on a baseball field, you might talk about a grand slam, but today, the talk here in Clearwater was about body slams. There's no mistaking the presence of Hulk Hogan. The world-famous wrestler has called Clearwater home for all of his 65 years. But Friday was his first Phillies spring training game ever. As it turns out, the Hulkster was a baseball prospect until an elbow injury in high school. Baseball's loss was pro wrestling's gain.
Final out of the inning, and the guy stepped outside the box and hit a high and inside ball in the handle as it dribbled down the third baseline. I ran up, I picked it up with one arm and threw it underhanded to first base and broke that little cap on my elbow. So my arm was never the same, and I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I segued into wrestling.
How did that happen?
I don't know, but I was a huge wrestling fan too. So once my arm wasn't what it was, I was chasing the wrestling dream around, and it finally happened. But baseball was the first love. 9 back surgeries ended his wrestling career years ago, but he told me he will never forget all of his matches at the Old Spectrum in Philadelphia. It was his favorite place to wrestle. I had so many memories from the Spectrum from when I first started wrestling in Philly as a bad guy in 1978 for Vince McMahon Sr. I just remember the ramp to the back of the building. I used to get sick to my stomach thinking about leaving the building because the fans would be trying to turn my car over when I was a bad guy. The good memories at the Philadelphia Spectrum where it was so loud, it used to make my jaws water. It's kind of like I'd smell good food or something, my jaws would water. It would get so loud in the middle of that ring with that rumble in the building and make my jaws water. And then if I was getting beat up by the bad guy, if I would reach out for help, the fans would try to come towards the ring. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You were there. You were there.
The baseball players talked to you on the half field, and they said, "We want to be you," and you said, "I want to be you." There's mutual respect, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole thing, my whole dream was to be a pitcher, you know, in the big leagues. And my dad was a huge baseball fan, so that never happened. And then a lot of these younger kids that are playing here today, if they even were alive when I won the first world title in 1983, which they weren't, they followed me. It's really cool to say, "Oh man, Hulk, we want to do what you did." So it was really neat to meet him. I was kind of nervous, you know. I don't know if these young kids, you know, knew of my career or followed me, but they all seem to know the history package that follows me around. Even
now, if the Hulkster grabbed a bat, no pitcher would dare throw at him. Can you imagine Hulk Hogan charging the mound? With the Phillies here in Clearwater, Florida, I'm Scott Palmer for Phillies.com.